What we're going to do this morning here is we have a number of topics to cover. We have some people live with us this morning. Before we get started, a lot of different people helped with this program. So Kirk Gorey, Katie Wiedmeyer, Gary Murphy, James Hong, Jeff Smith, who you saw last week with James Hong on the junior golf program, Sam Wiley, and Corey Muller, who is somewhere in North Carolina, traveling home with his family from Florida. So thank you to all of them, because they, during the show, pre-show, post-show, a lot of emails, a lot of text, and to share the various products that we had looked at the show. My impression, which the show, which Jeff and I talked about earlier, was that vendors were probably down about 50%. Attendance 40 to 50%. So it was much more of a regional feel to the show. For me, I liked it. I liked it a lot because, one, the show to me is more than just, going to look at product. I'm going to renew relationships, to see friends from around the country, as well as some friends from Europe that I haven't seen in a few years. So to me, it's much more, of a personal relationship. I participated in a number of educational seminars on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and then attended the show on Wednesday and Thursday. So I think the quality of the vendors, they wanted to be there, and then the quality of the attendee is, if you made the effort to go there during the pandemic, then you definitely were there for a purpose and to buy. I thought the relationship between the vendors and the attendees was very good, because you had time to ask questions, and so the overall quality of the show to me was very successful, and I certainly enjoyed my time there. All right, and nothing better than coming home to a snowstorm, right? All right, so we're very fortunate this morning that we have next round from Virginia. It's Dave Pangraze, and next round is a company that will come into your club. They'll spend time there with your members. They'll look at their equipment, and they'll let them trade their equipment in against a shop credit. So I'm going to have Dave come live with us and tell us more about what he does with his programs. But we were talking earlier, and I think it's a really great way for the members to unload unwanted equipment that they don't want hanging around in the house. And it's also a very good program for you, because you're going to get shop credit with the members, right? So if you could come with us now, I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely, John. Thanks for having us. I also have Rebecca here. We're on this little screen here, so we're trying to squeeze in, but we appreciate being here and the few minutes that we have to kick off your meeting. So I'll be quick about it, but we are excited to be kind of new section member or section partners coming to the Met section this spring. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to kind of meet some of you. Essentially, what we do in a nutshell is buy and sell golf clubs, but we do it kind of in a unique way. We do it by, rather than the PGA Value Guide or some of the online portals, we do it primarily through on-site events. We hold 1 and 2 day events with the club, much like you might do a demo day. And there's no cost to the club whatsoever for us to come. There's minimal effort on your end. We typically partner with private clubs. We found that to be the most effective. But we provide a whole marketing playbook once we're in agreement that we're going to run an event. The marketing playbook starts about 4 to 5 weeks out typically, but essentially we invite your members to bring their, as John said, bring their old and used golf clubs, not necessarily even their most recent clubs, but stuff that's been collecting dust in the attic and garage, and basically bring them in, and we're happy to take them off their hands. We won't necessarily be able to pay for every single one. We have our own kind of value guide that we use, very similar to the PGA Value Guide. It's about the same. We pay for some things that the PGA Value Guide does not. They we're pretty much 5 to 10% either way with them in terms of the pricing. But essentially, we invite members to come in, and what we do is we give them golf shop credit or club-wide credit, depending on your choice, whatever you'd like to do. And a typical event is about $8,000 to $10,000, but we've done events that have been as high as $30,000 in a weekend. At the end of the event, we basically square up with the club. So if we gave away $10,000, $12,000 worth of credit to your members, then we write you a check for $10,000, $12,000. And then you just add those vouchers and those credit extended onto your credit book. So it's a great member service. We help monetize a bunch of old clubs that they weren't using. At the same time, you're able to increase your revenue for your shop. So it's kind of a win-win situation. We take those clubs back to our home office here in Richmond, and we basically list them online, clean them up, et cetera, and list them online. We have our own site that we just launched, but we also sell on eBay. But essentially, that's how the program works. It's kind of white glove service. When we come for the event, we basically come with a Sprinter van and a uniformed event specialist with tent and chairs and table and all that. And there's nothing really for you to do except to point us in the right direction. And basically, we're in and out. We collect over the course of 1 to 2 days the clubs, and we take them out. So we really take the hassle factor out of it that you might have when you do everyday trades for your members. And it works really well. We've partnered with, like I said, we're in the Mid-Atlantic section here. We've partnered with Congressional. We've partnered with Valhalla, Bay Hill, where we did last year. We're doing again another week or two. Currently, we're down in Florida and Texas, kind of executing events. But as I said, we're going to be starting very shortly here, reaching out to the Met section and participating in events and so forth to try to book events with clubs in your section. So we're very excited to kind of be coming up there. I wanted to real quickly, if I could share, it'll take 2 seconds here. Let me see if I can find our website.
Hey, good morning, everybody. While Dave's doing that, I just wanted to reiterate, if it didn't come across, Next Round is one of our newest partners in the section. And hopefully it's Dave, but if not, we know that they will be represented at the spring meeting. So today was just a great opportunity to introduce the company and Dave to a smaller group and anybody that's interested, either in between now and the spring meeting, but certainly hopefully you have an in-person opportunity to meet and shake hands at the spring meeting as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. So real quickly, can you guys see this?
Yes, we can. That's great.
Okay. Basically, this is the website. If you were to go to nextround.com, if you wanted to find out some more information, I'm throwing a lot at you at one time, but this pretty well spells it out, takes you through how the service works and so forth. It allows you to, reach out to us too, and I'll have some contact information as well. Very quickly, what we do, I mentioned a marketing playbook. We will put together for you when we sign our agreement to work an event, about 4 to 6 weeks out, we will send you a whole marketing playbook. We'll create flyers and digital PDFs and things that you can use to send out to your membership. This is an example of one that we've got going for Savannah Country Club coming up soon. So it talks about trading your clubs. It's got all the information here. It's got talks about how you can even drop off your clubs prior to the event, and then we'll grab them when we arrive at the event and do some quotes. So if you can't make that weekend, lays it out here. One interesting thing is, and we're going to do this for the Met section as well, for each one of the sections that we partner with, we also ask members if they'd like to drop off their golf balls, any ones that they might find, old golf balls. They're welcome to do that, donate them. We don't pay for them, but we collect them up and we bring them back here, monetize those, sell them. And then we write a check to your section for whatever we've been able to generate from that. And it goes towards your foundation. So we're excited to be able to kind of support the Met PGA Foundation as well. So we provide this type of material. We also give you printed material. This is an example of a golf cart sign that can either be put by a cash register or put on the golf cart itself. It has QR codes here that you can scan and go right to it. One of the things we try to do is drive the members to a custom website that we build. So if you were to click on this, scan this code, or go to the website, which I'm going to do right here real quickly, is the member would be sent to this location here where they can find out more information about it, but they're really encouraged to RSVP. And there's nothing binding by the RSVP. They don't have to RSVP to participate. But what it does is it gives us a good idea of how the marketing is tracking, whether we're building some awareness within the membership, and also how to staff it. Like if we have a huge turnout, then we will certainly send more than one person, that type of thing. But so we build a custom website with your logo on it and so forth. And everything is done really white glove and turnkey. We just ask that the clubs, support us with marketing to help build awareness. And when we do that, we found that 5-figure weekends are the norm. So that's probably it in a nutshell. I know you guys have a tight schedule. You can reach me. Let me go back here for a minute. Back to here. If you're sitting at a desk and you have a pen and you want to jot this down, again, my name's Dave Pangraze, and Rebecca's going to be the rep that is working up in the section. She's a Long Islander. She's a native. She's moved down here to Richmond, but she's looking forward to getting back up there. And there's our telephone numbers and so forth. So don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we look forward to seeing you at some of the upcoming events. And just Jeff, John, Caitlin, thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, this was really good, because what you're doing is you're coming in, you're alleviating our members' issue with their used clubs, so they don't have to store them in the garage or the cellar. They can get rid of them. They can get cash, or they can get credit in the golf shop, so that can help offset any future purchases of not only clubs, but any other merchandise they want.
Yeah, they don't have to purchase clubs with it. Some of the OEMs have programs, obviously, where, okay, if a Callaway rep's going to have a demo day, they can, you want to sell your previous Callaway club, you can do that, but you've got to buy Callaway. In this case, anything and everything, and a lot of what we collect actually is not the most recent thing that's in their bag. It's what's been just kind of collecting dust in the garage and so forth. And so it's really kind of a no-brainer. Again, no cost to participate, very turnkey, not a whole lot for you to do other than point us in the right direction and get out some marketing. And the hassle factor, and in a weekend, you can generate some nice revenue for your club. So
those hickory shafted that Caitlin plays with, you have no problem giving her a price on those?
Well, it's funny you should say that. We will do that. We will collect, though, as a service. Like, a lot of people come up and they'll just come with their big bag of stuff, and there may be 8 things in there that we can purchase. But as a service to the members, we do just make it a matter of principle that, like, hey, if you want us to take this off your hands because your wife or husband doesn't want this stuff coming back into the house because you're cleaning out, we'll take it from them. And then we do have a wholesale thing that, even though we aren't really able to sell that persimmon wood, we can still find a home for it. So we do that as a service too.
I like the whole idea that it's very professional, it's very turnkey. And then I, the host professional, have to do very little other than do some work up front that you're going to guide me through. So you're going to give me a footprint of how to do all this.
That's what it's all about. I've been in the golf business over 20 years and very familiar with the clubs and how, you guys are there to serve and work with your members and so forth. And so the last thing we want to do is, you know, have a negative kind of experience. So everything is white glove, everything is professional and top notch, and making your members happy.
Okay, great. Well, you're going to come here for the spring meeting. Somebody's going to come from your
Yes, we should have
company?
someone up there, and I think we're gonna, you know, possibly be at a, you know, some type of pro event as well. And so we're looking forward to seeing you. And we'll be reaching out for sure to each of you individually. And we just hope, we know you're super busy, but we just hope that when you see our email and or our phone call, that you take our phone call and we have an opportunity to talk a little bit about the program and see how it might fit. We also do trades year round too. So certainly it's not one and done. It's the idea of, we want to establish a long-term relationship with you. We do many high-end clubs. We do 2 events, one in the spring and one in the fall. And we do year-round trades as well too. And so we're here for the long term, and we're here to be partners throughout the year, not just in and out one time.
I'll get Rebecca back up here. We'll get her some good pizza, and we'll look forward to having you as our partner. And what we'll do here is I'm going to share this whole PowerPoint presentation that we're involved in. So we're going to send this all out to all of our members, so that everybody in the section will be sure to have your information.
That sounds great. Thank you again, John. Thank you, everybody.
All right, we appreciate it.
Week.
You too. Have a
week.
good one. Take care,
Thank you.
Rebecca.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good day. Okay, so that was next round, and as Jeff was mentioning, they are a partner, and so hopefully we'll be able to get some things going with them in the future. Some of the things that we saw at the show were I'm going to say, you know, for physical workouts like this True Turn Pro, we have this group coming in with us shortly. They're going to be live with us. It's a group out of Phoenix, and as you can see, the gentleman there is doing that stretch. And basically, what they've done is they have a program. There's another stretch. They have a program that's been certified by the PGA, so that we can you know, get MSRRs as well as certification. But they're going to come on shortly with us to do that whole thing. This was a idea that Kirk Gorey shared with us. I really like this idea. That flag that you see there is made of wood, and so what happens is, lost it for. But what happens with that flag is you can have that flag made. You can use it as a tournament prize. I liked it if you put it up on a board, right? And then like say a 4th of July or Memorial Day, that you could go ahead and like if it's an annual event, you could put that flag at the top of the board, and then you could list all of your annual winners from time to time, which I think would be really cool, right? This is a company, Get On Form, right? And they're doing basically online analysis, right? So that you could go ahead and what you see there is you could shoot video, you could do side by side, right? So that and then you could email this. They're a subscription based. A lot of the members who I talked to like this program, because what you can do is not only can you do all of your information for your students in there, but you can make student notes. You can share, you know, you can share the video and the voiceover with the student, but not necessarily the notes. This was a G-Pod, and this was a group that that's a stick there, and it's magnetic. So if you have an iPad or a phone, magnetic phone, you can put that on there, and it just sticks to it. I like things that are quick and easy. This here was a Sports Box AI. get good information. 3D systems could cost you anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000, right? But with this system here, you can put this app on your phone, you pay a subscription based, and then as a result of the subscription base, you can put students in there. You can, and again, you can give you the various, dimensions of what you want to measure, whether they be, hip turn, shoulder turn, pelvic rotation, what have you. This was one that this PTE Golf, they have a lot of different tournament prizes. They do a lot of logo work and everything, so you can go ahead and, where the buckets for the range or range supplies, tournament supplies. This is one that a bunch of the guys liked. I was going to go back here. There's the flag. I find Kirk's flag again, right? I like to have that flag, and just you could even frame it and put it in your golf shop. I think Daryl Kessner does a lot of stuff like that out at Deepdale, where Marjorie changes the shop around a lot during the year. But that flag was one of the most impressive things I saw, and I think that you could kind of get creative with the different ways that you want to use it. All right. This was an out of bounds. Corey found this. Corey's getting into the candles. I think this is a nice touch, especially during, the fall and winter season. People like candles, they like the scents. So Corey found this company and thought it was one of the best ones going. These here are something that Corey found, and he says he's wearing, right? So one of the things at the show that we saw a lot of was that people are tending to insoles and inserts. I think there were maybe 5 or 6 different companies doing this, but I know as a golf professional, I'm on my feet like way too much, right? I'm very happy at the end of the day to get off of my feet. So I've been wearing orthotics for a number of years, and then I do have, some of my shoes I can't put orthotics in, so I do have air, insoles put in those. And they make a big difference for me at the end of the day. So this is certainly a company that we can look at. Here's one I thought was pretty cool. Sam Wiley found this. As you can see there, that's Fisher Island, right, with our logo. And they'll take any artwork you want about your golf course, and they can create your own T-shirts, right? So if you wanted to do, a signature hole, or like, Dan Colvin there and that logo there, that little island logo with the flag, which we all love and know, and who doesn't want to go to Fisher Island, right, to play golf? And then, obviously they can do stuff on the back of the shirt as well, which is pretty cool. Another one here, Sunday Golf, lightweight carry bags, right? And this was another one that Sam found. So, for those of you that allow walking, somebody just wants to take a few clubs, go out, and play a few holes. That seems like a good product. One of the things that we're going to do here is Caitlin's going to work with Noah behind the scenes, as they always do for us. So shout out to those two for assisting us with these programs all winter long. But I'll make arrangements to get this whole deck sent to you, so you don't have to write any of this stuff down right now. We'll get the deck sent to you, and then you'll have all the different, pictures of what these things are, and their various websites and contact information, right? This is one that Corey found that I thought was pretty cool too, this app device, right? So what they'll do is, according to Corey, you pay a one-time fee. And I could see why Corey would like this, because he recently redid his range. So, and I've mentioned this before. If you haven't seen Corey's changes, his renovations up at the Country Club of Darien, you should give him a call and stop by to look at it, because it's really impressive. But so they'll set this up with a one-time fee, as I understand it, and then what they'll do is your members can use an app, and they can target from where they are, on the practice facility, to any flag, to any target that you have out there, to bunkers and stuff like that. So it's a, it's a one-time upfront fee, and then the members can just go onto an app and they're able to access, all the different targets, which I think is pretty cool. One of the biggest things I see with people practicing is they don't know how to practice or what to practice, right? And so that would be helpful. Here's this Birdie Box, right? This is like kind of a one-stop shopping. Corey had mentioned this, and I thought it was a pretty cool idea that he's getting into, doing some corporate stuff, so like corporate gifts and so far. So this is like very turnkey, they have a lot of different products that you can purchase if you're have corporate clients that you're working with, which is pretty cool, right? And then here's another one for ladies wear that Corey's had some success with up at the country club. Movetes, he likes that a lot. He said it did very well for him this season. All right. Faribault Mills, for blankets and any woolen products. They have towels, blankets, a number of things of that nature. This is one that Katie Wiedmer from Wingfoot, and Sam Wiley also liked this from Your Leaderboard. They have a lot of different types of gifts and things like that. Another one that Sam and Katie both like were the KPI designs, right, for awards and gifts for your shop. This one I thought was very apropos for any golfer, right? If you see there on the top of the cart, there's a cup, all right? And so that cup apparently would adhere to any surface. So if you have it on your desk at work or home, you can't knock the cup over, right? And so they had it on a tractor on their website. They have it on a golf cart. They have it like a lot of cool things, where they just move around with that. So that obviously was pretty cool. The Risotto launch monitor. This is like a $500 product. I found this one. I'd looked at it before the show with the intent of, I do a lot of short game stuff outside. So I'm looking for an inexpensive monitor that I could, just set up for pitch shots, bunker shots, landing areas. And then I tested this at the show. I thought it was pretty good distance wise. I hit it various distances, got pretty good readings from the short game area. Again, it was $500, but I think they have a show special where it was going to be $350 up until February 5th. This I bought, the FlightScope Mevo Plus, right? And what I did was, we're testing this. Jeff Smith, who's out in Indiana, and I both bought a unit, and Jeff began testing it yesterday. We'll do more testing tomorrow as well. And then we'll have some data at the end of the week on this. But this was like a $2,000 product. It was $1,800 at the show. And then there's a pro package that comes with this. And there's the Mevo on the left and the Mevo Plus on the right. So that's all the different data that you can get with this. And then I brought, as did Jeff, the pro package for an extra, I think they charged us $1,000 there. And so with that FlightScope Mevo Plus the pro package, right, it gives you all those different face to target, vertical swing plane, horizontal swing plane, low point, dynamic loft, and so forth. So my total in was about $2,800 with tax. And so Jeff and I got them to agree, if we didn't like the data, the spin rates and so forth, if we didn't find it as effective as we wanted, then they'd take it back. So we got like a 30-day guarantee with it. So we get to test the product, we get to get the data, and Jeff's running against a Foresight and a TrackMan that he has. This is another one that a number of my clients have purchased. This group's down there in New Jersey. They can ship in 2 to 3 days. And I think out of all the nets that I found at the show, this has been my favorite. I have a couple guys on Long Island that I work with that have taken over their garages now. And these nets, they're very sturdy, they're very stable. The guys hit balls on them, and then the ball will bounce off the net onto the floor and feed back toward the mat. a couple of the guys have put some carpet in there and then like a fiber built mat or something like that to do it. But that's a nice net return for those of you that are tight on space or don't have a driving range, but have some nets set up around the or near the first tee. That's a pretty good product. AR Golf, right? They are also a sponsor. I looked at their products at the show. This is a picture of their wedges. They're machine milled in France, right? And then they have a facility in Jupiter, Florida. And they have 3 different lines in their putters. They have mallets, half mallets, and blades. But there's a guy, Jerry Mullally, who some of you are familiar with. He's done a number of fittings here at some of the clubs. I know that Mike has them down at Wingfoot. Ryan Callista over at Tamarack is going to use the system. But I took a good friend of mine, Bill Pressey, who invented Lab Putters, that some of you might be familiar with, over to see their products, so that, just to get an idea from his perspective of, the production. And he said the machine milling was really, really well done. They were using good aluminums and good steel products, that they use. They both aluminum and steel for their putters. But he was very impressed with their ability to machine mill. And they do all this in France. It's a French company. And I learned that AR means the. So that's in this village in France, AR means the, so it's the golf. And Jerry does the fittings. He'll come out to your club actually and do the fittings for you, so that he'll fit everybody and then, provide you all the specs and everything that you can have for your members going forward. And if you stock his putters, I think it's 6 putters, and then he'll actually give you a fitting system, that you can fit your members with on your own. Or if you want it turnkey, Jerry's happy to come out to the club and spend the day, because I know he's done that at a number of the clubs in the Met section. And they're also a sponsor, but we're going to have them on. They have a lab in Florida, so we're going to have them on going forward as well. This was a Tour Aim product that everybody liked. And so you can do different things with it. You can set it up different ways, just again, teaching aids. This was an impact snap. This is not a new product, but this is one I've used in the past that I liked a lot because it helps people with their wrist hand positions at impact. It comes both right-handed, left-handed. GameForge is a group we're going to have on going forward. They do statistical analysis. This is the X putt, right? So it's a 3-4 foot mat, but you can hit 40, 50 foot putts there. It hooks up to a TV. A couple of the guys I have friended in Florida who have indoor studios, this time of year, they get some cold weather, so they go in there and do that. And then, not that you need another reason to love Katie Wiedmar from Wingfoot, but I asked Katie before the show, because she's so good at merchandising, to find me some products, right? Find me some products at the show that we can put in this presentation. So Katie, being Katie, doing things a little differently than most of us might do, she come back with a pub, right? So that's the pub that Katie found, right? So it's actually an indoor pub, and probably everybody's favorite at the show. And I was just kind of blown away when Katie came back with this, because, other people gave me shirts or gave me training aids. Katie gave me a real pub. You got to love the idea. You got to love the way they think, right? So Katie actually.
John already sold one.
There you go. There you go. Katie's selling pubs, in case you're in the buying pub business, right? Was it, Katie, a member?
Yeah, I took those photos and sent it to a member, and she's going to put it in her backyard. She lives off 11 West T-Box. So hopefully the next time you all come to the club, you can see it.
So we can go play Wingfoot, and on the 11th tee, just kind of hop in the backyard to the pub.
There you go.
Nice. I like that. I like that. When I showed this picture to a bunch of people, friends of mine, I shared Katie's idea because I thought it was so unique. Everybody said, "Oh yeah, I saw that. I loved it. I loved it." And I went onto their website, and they actually have a peat, what they call PEAT, a peat smell to it that comes with it. So it's everything about Ireland that you you've come to love and appreciate. And so obviously Katie is really adept at selling these. So if you have an interest, I thought it'd be a great idea for a club to have like a halfway house, right? Like an 11th hole and instead of a 19th hole, something, out on the golf course, but it's pretty cool. How many people can you get in there one time, Katie?
Probably only about 6 or so. It
It would fit a 4-ball without problems.
exactly. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. And I like the way you always think out of the box for us. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to Carl. You're there in Phoenix, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. And so we'd like to get you up here. Carl's with the apparatus that I showed you earlier. And Carl's a physical trainer. He does corrective exercises for individuals. He's based out of Phoenix, right? And so, Carl, I'm going to get you to come on up with us here, right?
Okay.
And if you would take us through, because I went through the experience at the show with you. I knew of your product beforehand, so I was looking for you at the show. I went through the show directory and found you. And as an instructor, I'm big on spinal rotation and what's going on there. So if you would take us through what you do with your product and how you developed your ideas and so forth.
Okay. Well, the True Turn is coined as the world's first thoracic spine isolation device, and I'm gonna move into my studio here so we can get physical with this thing and have some clients and some people in here training. So it's gonna add to the ambiance of the whole experience here. But what the True Turn is engineered to do is to isolate thoracic rotation. And let me get my camera set up. And it optimizes the function of the hips and the spine. So let's see if I can, just 1 second, John. Okay. So let's see. There we go. All right. So this configuration allows for the body to magnify kinetic energy into the upper kinetic chain. And what that means is, I don't want to say a whole bunch of words that don't mean anything. I want everything to be meaningful. So the upper kinetic chain is the part of the body that consists of your chest, arms, and upper back. Okay. So the lower kinetic chain would be from the hips down to the ground. So the lower kinetic chain is in a closed orientation. It's close to the surface of the ground, being that we're vertical beings bound to the ground through gravity, right? The golf swing is based from the ground. So what this thing does, it allows for the upper kinetic chain, again, which is the arms, chest, and shoulders, to be connected to the ground. And it connects the body to the ground in a way that has yet been established up until the development of this product. So I'm going to have Bennett grab the device. Okay. First of all, the device opens and closes to a pretty small package that's easily transferable, or you can travel with it quite easily. So you notice that his arms are now connected to the rest of his body. So if I take him on a golf plane, okay, I can train him on any plane of rotation I like. I could go down to hockey. I could take him all the way up above his head to tennis, all different types of planes of rotation. So we're gonna talk about golf, and right here, he's at his address position, right? So I'm going to activate his kinetic chains. And what that means is, I'm going to step around the back. This is his posterior kinetic chain. Go ahead and turn to the side, Bennett, so they can see. Okay. This is his posterior kinetic chain. These are all the muscles that are responsible for really helping to stabilize his spine throughout the dynamic phases of the golf swing. Okay, right now we're not in a dynamic phase, we're in more of a static. So his whole posterior chain, all the muscles on the rear side of his body that are responsible for maintaining his spine angle, I'm going to activate with just 2 fingers of my own. And I use 2 fingers just to give an example of how much leverage I'm able to run through his body or put through his body through this device. So I'm going to stabilize all the swing segments from P1 through P10. I'm going to determine how stable or unstable these segments are. So right now we're at P1, he's at address. I'm gonna take 2 fingers and engage his whole entire posterior chain. Okay, all the muscles in his body are gonna fire. Okay, so I'm using very little pressure to push inward, John. And I think I ran you through this same demo in in Orlando. And now, you know, he's engaged all his muscles. He's struggling to stabilize this device right now, okay? And I'm gonna have him go on a little steeper swing plane, okay? Get his arms a little bit more perpendicular to the ground. Good, that's a great spine angle right there. And I'm applying pressure inwards. Now what I'm going to do is, let's get a little profile, a little more of a diagonal. There you go. Now what I'm going to do, John, is I'm gonna start introducing some rotary forces, okay? So I have a downward force stabilizing and firing his posterior chain. Now I'm going to apply pressure towards his backswing and causing his body to react to that rotary force. So I'm pushing in towards P2, P3, and he's having to stabilize me. And I can determine how stable or unstable this position is physically for his body. Now let's go to P2, Bennett, okay, and hold that position. Now we're in a different segment, right? And it's just as diagnostic right now. We'll get a lot more dynamic here in a second, but I'm just determining how stable or unstable he is in this position, okay? If he's really fighting for balance, if he's starting to compensate and cheat in other anatomical parts of his body, meaning that he's starting to move and try and find leverage other than being purely rotational, then I know he's cheating, right? Let's go P4. Let's take it all the way to the top. Good. Okay, Bennett is a very strong player. And yeah, we'll turn it. Okay. So they can see it. Yes. All right. So we can see it on the plane. All right. So we're going to go P4, right? And with this device, I can fix his pad and his plane. So I can adjust his shoulder plane. That's the shallow plane. A lot of people, when they start using the true turn, they'll take it on the inside, right? So the instructor that is certified in learning how to utilize this device can actually come and start to make adjustments anatomically, right? So I like that shoulder plane right there. That's a beautiful shoulder plane. So once I get him established here, I'll take some rotary forces pushing down so that he has to work up to position his golf club in a more desirable place. I'll have him work down, starting to initiate the transition, and I can determine the kinematic sequence. I'll have him bring his legs into his hitting position first. Keep coming. I'll have him stop here at P7, and we'll work on some stability right here. Okay. I'll keep shaping his body on the angles that I want. There's a nice side bend right there. We'll talk about side bend and internal hip rotation in a second, but I'm kind of putting his body through the ringer right now. I'm gonna give him a break here in a second. But this is also a beautiful swing plane right here. And I can stabilize that. I'll have him rotate to a full finish. Just face the camera. Yeah, full finish. There you go. So again, I can come and I can apply rotary forces, upward force to engage his abs, downward force to engage his back, and just determine all of the segments on a plane. Let's go back to side bend. Okay, see how beautiful that is? Back to address. Okay, and go ahead and relax. I know it's tough, right? So the idea is to purify rotation, to take each segment of the body, and when I'm talking about segments of the body, the different chains of the body. We have 5 different kinetic chains in the body. And right now we're dealing with the musculoskeletal kinetic chains, which there are 4. And so we have rotary chains, we have an anterior chain, a posterior chain. All this stuff is important in how we take the club away, going through the P system, 1 through 10, and building a more consistent, repeatable golf swing. That's the idea. And you know, this device is very innovative because it allows me to train on many different planes of rotation. Now, with regards to being very specific for golf, we consider that there are 5 really important anatomical positions for golf. If your clients can get to these 5 positions, then they're like a canvas for you to really execute upon your teaching objectives, whatever they may be. So I'm going to have Bennett face you in P1, okay? Essential, okay? You have to be able to establish a strong, stable, balanced address position. The next position we believe that is anatomically absolutely necessary is P4, top of the backswing. So at the top of the backswing, I'm going to point out the anatomical demands on the body. And what that is go ahead and profile yourself. I want you to, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, go down the line, good. Okay, you see that his spine is still in forward bend. He's internally rotated into his right hip, okay? On average, 35 to 45 degrees, okay? But not only is he internally rotated into his right hip, he's also in a forward bend, but we're into thoracic rotation. So we have 3 major anatomical demands going on. You go ahead and stand up. We have 3 major anatomical demands going on. Internal hip rotation, side bend, and thoracic rotation, all at the same time. Anatomically, it is a very demanding thing to accomplish. To hit a golf ball is not an easy thing to do. It always it bewilders me when, you know, people who have been working at a desk for 30 years, when they retire, they say, "Oh, I think I'm going to go play golf," as if golf is a you know, physiologically an easy thing to do. It's not. I assure you, it's one of the hardest biomechanical demands in all of sport. So I broke down the true turn, and I'm going to set it back up because I'm going to take Bennett through some different golf-specific joint function drills. Now, golf-specific joint function is a completely different thing from golf fitness. And what I mean by that is an example of joint function as it relates to golf. Go ahead and set up, okay? We got a nice, he's a righty, so we've got a nice extended left arm, okay? Show me a right arm chicken wing. Okay, all right. So in my world, we would never refer to this motion as a chicken wing, okay? I would determine and look at this as someone who is lacking external rotation. Go ahead and stand up. External rotation in his right shoulder, okay? This is external rotation. So maybe the swing theory of attacking or trying to help someone, instruct someone out of a chicken wing, maybe that's not, the solution isn't found in golf theory. Well, maybe we'll just have you, set and hinge your hands a little early. Maybe the solution to the problem lies in golf-specific joint function. So I would encourage and train PGA teaching professionals to look at the function of the shoulder to make sure that there's ample external rotation in the shoulder, okay? Another example of golf-specific joint function is go to address. There's a muscle in your neck called the sternocleidomastoid, and I don't want to use big words that no one understands, but let's just say that, you've had presenters speak fast, they use big words, and nothing ever gets accomplished between the presenter and its audience. I want to slow things down so that we really understand what's happening here. Okay, the sternocleidomastoid is a muscle in your neck. If that muscle is very tight, the person or the student is not going to be able, or is going to have a very difficult time keeping their eye on the golf ball. And when they go into their backswing, a tight neck muscle is going to cause that head to rotate off of the ball. How many times have you guys seen this, right? So what we do is we use the true turn to open up more neck mobility so that when your subject or your student goes into their backswing, they're able to keep their cranial orientation in a better position, being able to keep, again, their face or their eyes on the golf ball as they go through their dynamic phase from P1 to P4. So we use a true turn to facilitate golf-specific joint functions from the neck all the way down to the hips, even down into the knees and the ankles. We're going to give you an example of internal hip rotation right now. So I think we may have to back you up just a little bit. Yep. Okay, so in order to go from P1 to P4, we have to have ample internal hip rotation in our trail hip, okay? And so what we do is we do what we call a clock drill. I want you to imagine his left foot he's standing on a giant clock, okay? A number clock, not a digital clock. And his left foot is on the 9, his right foot, his trail foot is on the 3. What he's going to do, he's going to take these tiny little steps with his left foot around towards the 10, 11, and 12. And the right foot, his lead foot, is stationary, okay? Now, he's changed his hip orientation from being square to you guys to being almost 90 degrees to me, okay? So that means that he's gone through about almost 80 degrees of internal hip rotation in his right femur, which is trail, right? So now he's just going to load all his body weight onto his right foot, and the kinetic energy built in his right hip will throw him back automatically. And that's the kind of coil effect that we're creating in a backswing to produce speed, right? We'll do the same thing to the lead side. He's just going to take from the 3 o'clock.
Carl, I think you're muted.
How about that? Are we back?
Perfect. Yeah, we only missed
Okay.
2 seconds.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. So all we did was he went through internal hip rotation into his lead hip. Okay. He's going to load all that kinetic energy, and that energy in his hip is going to come back. He's going to come back very slowly. Okay. So we're facilitating internal hip rotation. Okay. Now we'll set the true turn up so that he can go through lateral flexion, which in another word is side bend. I don't know how much more time we have, so we're not going to go too in depth. We have so much more to share about each specific golf joint function. So again, I set the true turn up, and it's a quick adjustment, right? I just set the width of the chest and the shoulders. Again, this is the arm adjustment for shorter or longer arms. This device will comfortably fit a demographic from a junior golfer of about 4'8" to an adult over 7 feet tall. So one size kind of fits all. All right, so I'm going to have Bennett demonstrate some lateral flexion. And we're going to show you the combination of what lateral flexion and internal hip rotation looks like and how it is a part of every golf swing. Okay, so we're going to take the true turn up above. Let's just do laterals. Okay, so I'll have a little wide base in his feet. All right, his hands are outside of his feet, right? And his spine orientation is centered, right? So his center of masses in between his feet. And what we're going to do is, without rotation, he's going to go into this side bend, which is really lateral flexion in our world. So he's stretching his left lat or his lead lat, okay? One of the most important muscles in golf. Let's go to the other side. Open up, okay? Left side bend, stretching his shoulder away from his hip, okay? Causing all of that mobility to take place in his side stretch. So I'm gonna bring his feet together, okay? Let's profile this finish, okay? So the exercise that we did before, I'm going to have Bennett go into internal hip rotation to his trail hip, okay? Now, there's a physical demand there. He has internal hip rotation occurring in his right hip, his trail hip. We are going to go into a side bend to the left. This is the anatomical position for every backswing of a right-handed golfer, right? Okay, you see that angle of side bend, and he's internally rotated. We'll come out of that, having load all that kinetic energy into that right hip, but it's slinging back to his address position. Okay, all right, now let's show him that on the other side. Yeah, and we're gonna make sense of this in a second, guys. This is showing you where you are at the top of your backswing and at the top of your impact position. Okay. There's our right side bend. He's internally rotated into his left hip, his lead hip. He's going to come out of that, load his body weight, and the kinetic energy stored in his hip will automatically bring you back to your address position. Okay, so turn all the way around, go to address, bring the turn down. Okay. Okay, so a quick readjustment. When we work overhead, we have to go one click shorter. And when you're back out in front of you for rotation, we want the true turn to be longer, because the more extension I can get out of the arms, obviously you guys are, I'm sure, with me. We're talking about swing width. The more width we get, the more rotational demand on the thoracic spine becomes real. So now at the top of your backswing, go to the top of your backswing. You can see the facilitation, left shoulder low, internally rotated into the right hip, okay? So the ideal here is to facilitate specific golf joint function, right? Completely different than golf fitness, right? My example that I use at the PGA Show was, let's take a junior golfer who has all the mobility in the world, okay, but doesn't have a lot of fitness, you know, can't run for a long period of time, isn't very strong, but has all the mobility in the world, right, with regards to their joint function. Then on the other hand, we can take an athlete, let's say an NFL, football player, defensive back, someone who's super fast, very strong, and can play and run all day, right? But yet has some injuries to the hips and or to the shoulder from being tackled or tackling, all his life, right? That person is full of fitness, but has very little function. And so with regards to golf, we really, really need to place golf-specific joint function as the foundation, and then let's put fitness on top of that. Then we'll have a good athlete being able to repeat a nice, strong, balanced, repeatable golf swing. We are now certified, we're accredited by the PGA of America, and for MSR credits, we are certifying golf professionals, any and everywhere. We get a nice group of people together, we'll fly out, we'll take them through a certification on the True Turn Pro, facilitating golf-specific joint function, and that's pretty much the song and dance I have for you this morning, John.
We appreciate that, Carl and Bennett. Thank you for going through your exercise program with us this morning. Tell me, Carl, what is it like with, let's take different age groups, all right? Let's take women, for example. Let's take women, 20 to 40.
Okay.
All right. When you're working with women 20 to 40, what do you see that that these ladies might need to work on relative to their mobility or stability?
Again, with talking about or addressing different genders with regards to athletic performance, a lot of it comes down to the history of the individual. What have they done before? If we're talking specifically about golf, a lot of the times we're going to find a lot of mobility still present in the female athlete versus the male athlete. And just because of muscle tensile forces are different, hormones are different. And so with the ladies wanting to increase distance, it's extremely important for everyone, but especially for women to capitalize on facilitating specific joint function and then addressing the muscle strength second to that. So that, think about it like this, John. If you have a shoulder, I use an example of that chicken wing. If you have a shoulder that lacks range of motion, and you put a bunch of weight training on it, what are you really doing? You're really facilitating a lack of more mobility. I mean, the mobility is just going to be layered on by more muscle tightness, and
So you're hurting the person, not helping the person.
Exactly. I mean, my question to golf, teaching pros is, how many teaching pros out there innately felt or feel that sometimes golf fitness can actually make swing faults worse? If there's a lot of people who would probably raise their hand to that, and I would say, yeah, you're right, because if you have dysfunction in your joint, and then you layer on top of the dysfunction more dysfunction by weight training, you're doing yourself a disservice. You really got to pay attention to how your joints are able to move, and then attack with strength training and endurance training and cardio and all that kind of stuff. It's all great.
One of the things I've done over the last few years, few years being the last 5 to 10 years, is trying to better understand motor patterns.
Yeah.
Right. Because, in my instruction, what I've come down to realize, and none too soon, I might add, was that the person's ability to do something, your ability to tie your shoes, to tie a necktie, to, sing a song, to dance, all comes down to a motor pattern between your brain and your central nervous system.
Sure.
And one of the things that I really liked about your product when I saw it prior to the show was that you're putting people through positions that are good for mobility and stability, which are like keys to a golf swing.
Correct.
Everybody who's watching this morning here in our section and has not been on this training device doesn't understand how tired Bennett is right now.
It's true.
All right. So we're not going to expect a whole lot out of Bennett the rest of the day, because we exhausted him early. But I spent like 6 to 8 minutes with you on that device, and I was tired. Even though you're a strong person, and even with 2 fingers you're strong, but you were putting a lot of force into my body, and it was everything I could do to stand on my feet when you were doing that.
Yes. The reason being is that when the body is anatomically in a correct position, what we're doing is we're leveraging energy through the body, and when that becomes efficient, that's what the True Turn Pro is designed as engineered to do, is to anatomically correct the biomechanics. When you do things right, we normally find it becomes a lot more difficult to do it right. Our bodies are built to compensate and cheat. Okay. I always think about Tin Cup when Kevin Costner was in the RV, and he had on all the gadgets and gizmos, the no disrespect, John, but the nature of this business is it mimics the nature of the beast, and that is, if we can cheat, we will. Okay, we will find a way to compensate and cheat. And so the reason why it takes so little work with the True Turn Bro that goes such a long way is because it anatomically puts you in a correct position. And when that becomes efficient, it really becomes more difficult. So a little goes a long way.
That's one of the things, because I know in my own swing, there are certain positions that I want to get into that I don't have the ability to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was doing your exercises and you were putting force on me, especially down around impact and post impact, right?
Yes.
That's an area that I'm not as good as I want to be with my own swing. And
Yeah.
when you were doing that, I was just feeling things that I would love to feel in my golf swing, but I'm not
Sure.
physically able to do.
Well, right now you're not physically able to do, but this is all about physiological adaptation, right? If I continually, through repetition, put you through those drills, your body will adapt and you will have that movement pattern established. Your
Right.
new
And
neuromuscular movement.
And that's
pattern.
why I purchased the product, right?
Yeah.
Because it made me feel good, right? So even if I wasn't a golfer, as we mature in life, the flexibility, the strength leaves us. Yep. And so we have to address it, right? And right. I'm on my feet all day teaching, so I need to be flexible. I need to be strong because my body, as you are, right? You're a physical trainer. It gets worn down, right? Yep. And I wanted something, and what I really liked about this is I like the idea of, because I understand golf fitness, I understand flexibility, I understand some strength training, things I've done over the years to better understand this. I do not understand joint mobility.
Okay.
And I think very few of us in our industry, in the golf industry, do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that most attracted me to your product was you understand it.
Yeah.
Right. And as much as I think you have a good product, what I'm equally interested in is your knowledge that you can share with me as a golf professional to use your product successfully, to be able to, you had mentioned you had a program of certification for instructors.
Yes.
And what's important to me is to have some type of a screening process that I can assess a student in, 5 to 10 minutes of because they're there for a lesson. I need a few minutes to assess them correctly. I need a few minutes to show them where I think they or us, we need to work. And so your product does that for me. I like it as a stretching tool before I go to the first tee, right? Before I go to the range. If I get out of the car and don't have time to hit range balls, I could stand in the parking lot with that tool and do 5 to 10 minutes and be loosened up, right? We
often do. Yeah, working. Yeah, for sure.
And so I think, to have it, to have a few of those on the practice facility, if you're at a private club, right, or to have access to that, and then to have access to you and Bennett, right, to be able to train people, because I think your knowledge base is just as important as your device, right, because you invented the device. So correct. So to me, your knowledge and your ability to share that has all the value of what I paid for your product.
Yeah, thank you. I touched on it during our little song and dance in there with the True Turn. Is we have just recently acquired accreditation from the PGA of America to educate teaching professionals on the proper use of the True Turn. It's so versatile in its use and in correcting joint function. Now, talking about joint function and my background is clinical PT. I'm not a personal trainer. I do believe in personal training. I do believe that there is a place for golf specific personal training. However, again, that isn't always the best thing. It certainly isn't the foundation or the first thing that should be addressed. Joint function, True Term Pro, yes, we have our own screening. I've built a screening and for the to really help people understand what the joint function is as it relates to golf, and then how to facilitate that joint function so that the fitness program makes sense to the body. It's, we've really put in a lot of effort, especially in this day and time, chasing speed and chasing power. We're putting a lot of emphasis on these, on these golf fitness programs, but the golf fitness will only register to the body if the function of the joint is able to accept the fitness program. Does that make sense, John?
It does. I think, I think we could, we can obviously in our industry, we can thank Bryson for that, right? Because, Bryson's just
Or
gone
Tiger,
to another.
he started it.
They've gone to, but Bryson's taken it to a whole other level,
Whole new
right?
level.
A
Absolutely.
whole new level. And, and what I don't think, and what I don't think we understand as an industry is what Bryson's doing that we don't see in order to allows his body to do what he does, on the first tee, or, when he's driving it across lakes, or when he come up here and
Sure.
shot under par at Wingfoot to win the US Open.
Yeah.
And there aren't any of us who are working with Bryson, right? And I mean, those are very different animals in my world. They're freaks of nature in a very positive and complementary manner.
Yeah.
A lot of us are working with people who have office jobs, people who are not athletes, people who enjoy the game of golf, people who want, everybody that comes to me wants more speed. I mean, it doesn't matter how good or how bad their application of energy is, or the mechanics of their swing. And I just watch, and especially with some of my older clients, I just watch their bodies, and I just think there's no way that I can give that body speed in its current condition.
Correct.
Right? I'm just happy to have them stay on their feet sometimes.
Right.
And there's no joint mobility, and without the joint mobility, you have no stability. Without the stability, you have no, and I mean, just, it's a vicious cycle.
So, I like to use this analogy. We talk about a rocket and putting all of that power into a rocket to, drive this megaton, object up and into the sky. There's so much force and there's so much power behind that, right? But without the stabilizing wings, without the stabilizers throughout the entire rocket, we know what happens when that thing gets up. It's gonna crash and burn, right? It's the same thing that happens to the disc in your back, right? The same thing that happens to the labrums in our hips, right? We train for speed, but with minus the stability, we're gonna create ourselves a golf.
You're going to create injuries, right?
The number one injury in golf is injury to the low back, and there's a reason for that. Now, I say this in all due respect. Okay, my job is human movement. I've been doing this for over 30 years, and joint optimization. That's what I do as a professional. Okay, I did it in the NBA. I worked in the NBA for over 12 years. Right, some of the finest athletes in the world. My job, in fact, I was the youngest strength and conditioning coach in the NBA. I got the job when I was 26 years old. That was a long, long time ago. But I say all this to say, as joint function should not be overlooked, and to avoid overlooking it, we first have to understand exactly what it is. And I place joint function over fitness every day, because without the function, the fitness can't be utilized by the body. So with in the case of chasing speed and power in the golf swing, especially to the demographic that you just described, it's ultimately important that we facilitate the specific golf joint function with regards to mobility, stability, and then strength. It should come in that order. So anytime, I'll back up even a little bit, John. I created the True Turn off of you're describing the demographic guy by the name of Tom Lucy, 70 years old. He was a retired banker. He worked at a desk for 30, 40 years, right? He starts playing golf, became a really good golfer, a single digit handicap guy, and tore up his back, right? Came to me, asked me if I could restore his shoulder turn. He had a fixation device in his lumbar spine, nuts, bolts, plates, all, the works. So with respect to that internal fixation device, I focused in on the thoracic spine. This is, 8 years ago. And the thoracic spine, if we lose the function and the mobility in the middle part of your back, all the forces go down to the lower back, which is the reason why golf hurts your lower back, at the end of the day, or even towards the end of your round. So to avoid that thing, to avoid this from happening, shall I say, we need to focus our efforts around the thoracic spine and thoracic mobility, but we can't get lost there. We have to stabilize the thoracic spine as well, and the hips, because they work in conjunction. Wherever the hips go, the spine follows. Okay.
Right.
And yes. And so we have to be mindful of the anatomy and the physiology here, not the fitness. We have to be mindful of the function first, and then move into the fitness. And we'll get better results from the student exchange, the lesson exchange that you have.
So the spine and the pelvis are core to my teaching. The ability of the spine and pelvis to move, because to me, the pelvis is like the connection between upper body and lower body, between my legs and my femurs.
Central station.
Yeah,
that's what
exactly. So it's just like, to me, that's the core of the golf swing, is in that pelvic region, right? Because it's tying upper and lower together. And what I see is a dissociation of arms and to the body in the backswing with most of the people. I see the body moving, but I don't see the spine rotating. I don't see the pelvis rotating, right? And obviously flexibility with a lot of people is an issue. Now, how do you identify flexibility relative to joint mobility? How does that tie in?
Yeah. So, our muscles and our tendons attach muscles to joints.
Correct.
Okay. So you think about it. Can a joint be mobile if the muscle doesn't have range of motion? The answer is no. Okay.
Because our brain's protecting our body.
Well, that what you're describing there is called muscular inhibition. But what I'm saying is, if your lat, for instance, we use the example when we did the lateral flexion, and I pointed out how Bennett's shoulder is stretching away from the hip, away from the pelvis, as he was moving into lateral flexion. If that lat muscle, the belly of that muscle, is lacking in range of motion, lacking in elasticity, flexibility, then that range of motion is negatively affected, right? So there's a definite correlation between muscle tightness and joint immobility.
And so if that range is not accessible to Bennett, then he's going to do something else to compensate.
He's going to cheat. He's going to compensate. And that's I love this line of questioning, John, because, with regards to golf specific joint function, what we're trying to do is we are opening up mobility, stability, and strength so that the body can go through these things. We're determining numbers right now for, how much thoracic rotation is necessary when you lack internal hip rotation, okay? When you lack lateral flexion, okay? We talked about those three major anatomical necessities to produce a golf swing: thoracic rotation, lateral flexion, internal hip rotation. Okay. And we have to stabilize the forward bend, right? That's the musculoskeletal structure of the address position. Now the body has to rotate around that fixed axis, which is the spine. Okay. If rotation of the thorax is limited, then we're going to need to borrow more from the internal hip rotation and or the side bend, right? We have these three, it's a
Three-headed monster, huh?
Yeah, it is, right? And so when we lack one, we need more of the other two. You understand? So
Right.
we got to balance. It's a check and balance system. We got to figure out, what numbers cause what swing flaws. What's the swing flaws are correlated to the dysfunction of these joints.
Well, one of the things I liked about the unit was when you went into your backswing with Bennett, I can't twist my arms inside, right? Because I'm holding the apparatus and I'm rotating. So I'm using my pelvis, I'm using my spine, and my arms are forced into a plane of motion, which is what I want. Right.
Correct.
So even though you're working on joint mobility and stability, you're also teaching golf mechanics, though, that's not the idea. You're teaching a proper mechanic there as well.
Yes.
That's so that again, that pattern of motor behavior becomes established.
Yeah.
How long a time, like, let's say, my unit's coming to me this week.
Yeah.
Right. Because Bennett told me it was, right. And so how long, I'm going to use the unit how many times a week if I do everything that you want?
Less is best, right? We don't need to jump into this thing for 20, 30 minutes a day every day. What we are asking people to do is to introduce their body to correcting their movement patterns. It's a delicate thing. 5 minutes a day, 3 or 4 days a week. That's it. That's all it's going to take. Right.
Right.
And then eventually we add to the protocols, we add to changing our programs. We have programs on our website.
Right. I saw that.
Yep.
So you're using a layering developmental approach to changing my joint mobility.
Absolutely. It has to be done that way.
Right.
Took you years to get to
become dysfunctional.
That's correct.
This accident didn't happen overnight.
You got it.
But I think that's important for our professionals to understand, because when you're working with members, everything is now. It's like yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And that's just not the way this works.
Yeah.
It's just.
I was just going to say, in terms of going through the years and years and all the repetition of dysfunction and overcoming that to correct and create functional repetitive motion, it will take time. However, one thing of instant gratification that I think from the player's perspective, they will start to feel is they're going to actually start to be able to answer that question that I think pros ask their students all the time is, what do you feel? And they will have an answer for it. And there is no wrong answer as to what they feel, but I know as a player, if I feel something, now I know what I want to recreate. And some of the things that Carl was just putting me through those quick exercises there is I'm feeling a lot of core, a lot of the back stabilization muscles, which for me is great. I want to feel the muscles. I don't want to feel the 3 bulging discs that I have in my lumbar spine. When I'm changing direction, the first thing that I'm searching for to get stable is the ground. So if you have a player that has just never really been able to associate, what is that? What does he mean by feel the ground, by create ground force reaction to create more speed? We have answers to those questions now. So there is some instant gratification from that standpoint. But yes, if a player is really adamant about and dedicated to getting better and changing these things over time, what Carl said, 5 to 10 minutes a day, every other day, 3 to 4 days a week is what will make a ton of progress over time.
Yeah.
Right. And like you mentioned, you have your website, which has a lot of different exercises and protocols on it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's growing.
Now, and then you're willing to to leave, maybe not this morning and because it's cold
Not
in New York.
now. We won't go to New York right now. You guys are Whoa.
Soft. You guys are soft.
We are.
Yeah, you live in that sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah, your biggest deal is what sunblock am I going to use today? I know.
That's
I love
correct.
Phoenix. And our friend Jeff Smith is coming out to visit you this weekend. He's going to do your
Yes.
certification program.
Yes,
We'll
yes,
Well,
he
see
is.
him on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's going to be a long day for the two of you. Work him hard, would you? I want you to just work him to the bone.
We're looking forward to
So
it.
tell us about your certification program. You have one in place now, and you're also looking at expanding that. Is that correct?
Yeah, right now the certification is 4 hours at 4 MSR credits. It's quickly going to jump to 8 and then ultimately to 16. We have a 16-hour course right now. We're ready to teach. But we're going to take baby steps with this thing. We want to make sure that the quality is extremely high and because we have integrity, John, we care.
Well, that's one of the things I like about everything you've done so far. And you've been very upfront about everything. And a couple of the questions I asked you at the show, you were hesitant to answer because you wanted more information, which, I respect that a lot. Now, let's say we can't come to Phoenix. Not everybody's as lucky as you, right? And if I can't get on a plane to Phoenix, what would we need to do, like say, to bring you out to the Met section to do a certification for us?
Our number is 12. We'd like to do groups of 12. We want to keep it intimate, small. The education component is extremely high. Again, I hate, going to presentations and or seminars where the presenter, speaks super fast and uses a language that no one understands, and the connection is lost. The value of this thing is what we're able to get out of it. The reciprocating value that is. So we want to take our time. I like to talk slow. My style is slow but a strong delivery of the message. And so when we take our certification and our teaching professionals who want to come and truly learn about the biomechanics and the golf specific joint function, it's all about professionals who really want to get better at delivering what they're so passionate about, and that's teaching golf and helping their students and their competitors get better.
And so in a seminar, we would learn some screening protocols.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
And we
That's
would
part of
learn
my
how to use a device and how to developmentally use the device correctly.
That's what it's all about. It's all about learning how to utilize the device to facilitate, that all important golf specific joint function.
Right now, as far as the device itself, right, for the golf professional, are there programs set up for the golf professional to purchase the device and to learn how to use it, or
Sure.
to you make it available to his or her clients?
I'll let Bennett handle that.
So yeah, we have a discount program that we've set up for all teaching professionals. It's not something that we have kept just for those that we met at the show. We want to take care of the PGA professionals really around the world. Truth be told, we view you guys and gals as the frontline soldiers, if you will, to the consumer, because you'll be able to introduce it to them in a safe and educated manner. We also have affiliate programs that we have successfully set up with some of our biggest supporters, being PGA teaching professionals, whereby which we set up a discount code. They can pick whatever that they want it to be. They give that to their players that want to ultimately purchase a unit. They go on our website, they punch that discount code in, we track that, and then we give kickbacks to those PGA pros that help us gain exposure and move units. So, I kind of affectionately refer to it as a healthy pyramid scheme, if you will. But the device in our opinion, and granted we're biased, speaks for itself once it gets in someone's hands. And so we want to help take care of those that are supporting us now and in our pseudo early stages of gaining exposure and growing together.
All right, so our golf professionals could get a device at a professional price. How would they go about doing that?
They just have to go on our website, and happy to, whatever you think, John, give you the code right now, give it to you in private, and have you send it out to your instructors in your section.
Yeah.
What would you prefer?
Yeah, we'll give you a code.
Met PGA 2022.
Yeah, we have a teaching instructor code.
Okay.
Yeah, it's teach for TTP. So TEACH, the number 4 TTP.
All caps.
Yeah.
Say that again. Teach for
for TTP. So TEACH for TP.
Yeah, the number 4.
The number 4, the numeral 4, and then TTP, Thomas, Patty, right?
Correct. All caps. That will drop the retail price of $269 down to $199, and we offer all of our teaching pros free shipping.
All right, and then obviously they can access the website for instructional videos.
Correct.
Yeah, every unit comes with an insert with the code to the Video Learning Center, and then just a small disclaimer about not over cranking the tightening device because
so you don't break it.
Correct.
Yeah, you don't have to crank on the center knob. It's just finger tight. It's engineered to clamp quite quickly without a lot of force.
And then if somebody wanted to enjoy some sunshine and come to Scottsdale, they can contact you, Bennett, and like Jeff did about the certification program there.
Certainly. We can easily be reached, Bennett, Carl at trueturnpro.com or info@trueturnpro.com. Everything comes right to our boxes. So it's still very much a small, intimate, family-run organization. So
Customer service.
Not going to take you long to get in touch with us.
What type of temperature does Carl need before he'll get on a plane and come to New York? What's the minimum?
I grew up in Chicago, so there's nothing too cold for me.
Well, I've been removed for a long time, but I grew up in Nebraska, which is a wicked winter. So, you get 12 guys together. We'll jump out there 20, 30 degrees. It's all right. As long as we do it indoors.
I'm not doing 30 degrees.
All right. Hey, I'm with you.
All right,
man.
so we'll look into that because I'm sure we have a number of our head professionals who have very good teaching programs, as well as our instruction professionals who do this full time, that would be very much interested in doing this. One other question? What would you say? What would you say the biggest hurdle is in getting people to understand that, because people just don't understand lack of joint mobility, right? So once you have the device on them, they can feel how unstable they are, don't they?
Immediately.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And by putting a little bit of pressure on it, like you did, with Bennett, and so basically the device tells them what you don't have to tell them. Right? You don't have to explain it to them so much as they're going to feel it. And
I cannot say a word.
Earlier, the feel is the key.
I cannot say a word and take them throughout, from P1 to P10, and they'll feel it's just a humbling experience.
All right. So you want me to pay a couple $100 to be humbled? I like that attitude.
Exactly.
It was humbling too, right?
Yeah,
because you don't realize how unstable you are until you're on that device. And it's real eye-opening, and that's what I enjoyed about it most, right? It's just like, you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you gentlemen would like to share with us this morning before you enjoy the rest of your day in your sunshine and warm temperatures?
I just think how appreciative we are, John, of you giving us a platform here to talk a little bit more about our device and introduce us to your section. And we would very much welcome the opportunity to jump on a plane and talk more and meet more of your section professionals in person.
Yeah. We're the ones that are appreciative because, you're in an area of player development instruction with men, ladies, juniors that
Yeah.
we need to be educated in, that we need to better understand. Selfishly, every one of our listeners is a player, right, and wants to be a better player. So you're not only going to help the member help him or herself, you're also going to help us help our clients, our members. So it's
That's my
like
goal.
we're very
That's my
thankful
goal.
of your time this morning, for coming on and being so sharing with everything.
I
All right,
appreciate it.
I will look forward to getting my device this week. And so then next time I see you, Carl, you're not going to be able to push me around as much as you did the other day.
True.
Bennett,
I'm
you keep
excited.
doing your
I'm excited for you.
exercises so he doesn't push you around either, okay?
I'm trying. Thanks,
Yep.
John. Appreciate
All
you.
right, guys, I'll be in touch. All right.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you very
job.
much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. All right, so I think that's going to kind of wrap us up for today. If there are no more questions, I'd like to thank everybody for getting involved here this afternoon. It looks like we're approaching afternoon anyhow, right? Just short of lunchtime here. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to have a number of seminars going forward. Caitlin and the section office will be sending out invitations. We'll have those up shortly for you. This seminar, like all the others, are recorded, so then you can review it. I'll work, if you have an interest in seeing more about Carl and the product. I'm definitely want to get him out here, so I'm gonna be reaching out to people. So if you have an interest, we obviously do it on a Monday, when we don't have a tournament or anything else going on that would interfere. So if you do have that interest, please reach out to me. Also, if you have any ideas of things that you would like to see, as Corey is hopefully out of North Carolina by now, Corey, you and the family driving safely home. Corey wants to hear, as a chairman of the education committee, any ideas you have, anything you would like to see covered. We try to appeal to everybody at some level. So, whether you're in the shop and taking care of that, or you're teaching, or, you're administrative. We have some ideas coming up that Corey wanted to get to you with, membership tournaments and things of that nature, operations. Jeff and Jonathan are going to do some more stuff on staffing going forward. So keep your ideas coming, stay warm, sunshine, and January is gone. So February, March, April, we're about to kick off. Thank you so much. You have a good day.